by thanking Team Vogue for having me moderate this panel. So these topics are topics that I'm extremely passionate about, as are these amazing individuals sitting next to me. Moises, Christine, Gabriela, Patrice, and Angelica. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. So I read all of your bios, and I was like incredibly in awe of you, each and every one of you. And so I would just like for you to introduce yourself to everyone here and let them know your name, your age, what you like to do, and how you, or anything else that you want to let them know. Yes, sir. You can start.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mo. I am a current student at the University of Chicago. I'm 20 years old. I'm undocumented and queer and unashamed. I organize in Chicago, specifically creating my own network called Fuego, which means fire. And it is going to be a network of high schools, community colleges, and universities to teach students how to organize, and eventually bringing that organizing into the Chicago area and then into Illinois.
Hello, my name is Christine Park. I am an immigrant rights campaign coordinator at Korean Research Center in Los Angeles. I am 26 years old, and I've been working national campaign alongside with Nakaseg and DocuBlack and other coalitions, doing like advocating Clean Dream Act and DACA and protecting TPS mainly. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. My name is Gabriela Hernandez. You can call me Gabby. I'm undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed. Yeah, and I'm also the New Mexico Dream Team Executive Director and the United We Dream New Mexico Director. We are the largest immigrant-led organization in the nation, and we are also the largest immigrant-led organization in New Mexico. And so I'm honored and privileged to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Patrice Lawrence. I am Jamaican by birth, and I'm the Director of Policy and Advocacy for a group called the DocuBlack Network. We're a multi-generational network. Woo! Woo! We're a multi-generational network of Black and currently or formerly undocumented people all across this country, and I'm really, really happy to be here and talk about these issues.
Buenas tardes a todos. Hi, my name is Angie Hidrobo, and I'm undocumented, unafraid, and here to stay. I also want to mention that I'm here representing Connecticut Students for a Dream. Connecticut Students for a Dream is the only youth-led, undocumented organization in the state of Connecticut. And we believe that because of the work that we do and empowering young people, we will be that next generation. We will break those systems and those institutions that has been taught in us for years that we don't belong here.
Amen. All right, so the central focus of this conversation is to explain to the people what DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, is and its current status under the Trump administration, as well as other programs like TPS, Temporary Protected Status, and DED, Deferred Enforced Departure. So we see all these acronyms in this day and age, and I feel like the human meaning behind these programs is kind of lost in that process. So if you could narrow down what each program is, who it affects, why, and its current status due to the political climate.
For sure, I'll take that question.
All righty, let's go, Gabby.
So when I was 7 years old, and I'll share a little bit about myself. So when I was 7 years old, I came to the United States. My mom decided to migrate to the United States because of literally running away from domestic violence and abuse. And unfortunately, my father, he suffered from alcoholism, and poverty was really bad. And so we migrated to New Mexico, to Colorado and New Mexico, where my mom, right away, my mom worked really hard, single mother, the most amazing woman I know. And she worked really hard to make sure that I was able to be able to dream. And so when I grew up in Colorado, graduated, and when I was 16, my stepfather at the time, he got deported. And unfortunately, he didn't have a driver's license. The car was not under his name, and the insurance obviously wasn't, right? We couldn't. There was no option. And this was before DACA, before 2012. My dad, unfortunately, one night skipped a stop sign, and that caused a deportation, and I haven't seen him since then. That was 8 years ago, over 8 years ago. And so since then, I was mad. I was like furious. I didn't understand why we had to be separated from my family. I did not understand why I couldn't go to school. I didn't understand why I didn't get an instant tuition, driver's license, and all this stuff, right? And so I decided my way through liberation, my way that I was going to fight through was education. I wanted to go to school, but it was so expensive. And as an undocumented woman, I decided to migrate to New Mexico, and there I found out that instant tuition was available, and that they had driver's license. I was like, what? What is this about? And then there I know that it wasn't because our government. It was because of the people. It was because of people like me and every single one of you that made that happen. It was because of that. And that's exactly how DACA happened. And I fell in love with community organizing. I fell in love with bringing people together and creating power. And I mostly love bringing youth together, and that we fuck shit up. And that's how we made DACA happen. So 2012, it was an executive order by Barack Obama, and now I am a DACA recipient. Thankfully, I got DACA one semester before graduating my undergrad. And then there, I was able to get a job. Before graduating, I was able to get a job in the career that I wanted to. I was a community organizer in Albuquerque, and then now I am the executive director, which I am more than honored to be. And so, thank you. And then now, what that means is that I have a DACA. My DACA expires next year. And recently, the DACA file has been under attack. We know that. And this administration has openly been against immigrants in DACA recipients since the beginning before day one. And so we have that clear, right? We understood that. But we also know that because the people made that DACA happen, we pushed so hard, we organized so far under the Obama administration, we have kept DACA happen. And so...
Yeah. So DACA, just to clarify, DACA is exactly what?
In DACA right now, it's still present. People are still, new people can renew. But people that, new people can apply, but people that have the DACA can keep renewing, like myself. And under this administration, that doesn't mean that it's still under threat. But DACA is still present. TPS, though?
Yes. And then, so there's DACA, and then there's TPS, and then there's DED. I just want everyone to know, like, the difference between each one of them and what they mean.
So just to clarify really quickly what DACA is, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It's a renewable 2-week permit granted to youth who came before the age of 15, and it has a lot of requirements. You have to pass a criminal background check, you have to go get your fingerprints done, you have to do a lot, and you have to pay $495 to immigration. It grants you a 2-year permit, it gives you a social security number, and it lets you have relief from deportation.
And it's not a legislative solution. It doesn't qualify my tia, my tío, my aunt, my mom. It was only specifically for people that went under, that got some sort of, that graduated from high schools and all the requirements.
Okay,
right.
So TPS?
And then TPS is also something that's temporary, only it's a little bit more wishy-washy. It is kind of like a humanitarian relief given to nationals of a certain country if they were here when something happened in their country. So countries that have it include Haiti. Everybody remembers the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, so they had the designation then, right? And it is also it can last from 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. So it's really the most temporary protection that really is out there, and it costs $495 as well. In order to apply for it, you have to do a full background check, you have to do all these other things, same like DACA. And same with DED. And it's expiring, so since this administration has come into power, 9 decisions have been up, and they've ended for 7 countries. And the first country to lose their status will be Sudan this year. So Sudanese use their status in September, and then Nicaragua in January of next year, followed by Liberia in March, and then Nepal in June, and then Haiti in July, and then El Salvador in September, and then the following year will be Honduras. So 7 countries. Sierra Leone and Guinea already lost their status last year, May. So in all, 9 countries that have been terminated or will be terminated soon. We have 2 more countries coming up, which is Somalia and Yemen, and everyone knows that there's active warfare going on there, but still this administration is giving indication that they will not continue the protection for these people.
And these are people who have been here for decades, like not just, 2-3 years. They've been here, they've solidified their homes here. These are the older people are targeted the most, truly, when it comes to these, because a lot of the stuff that's happened in these countries happened a long time ago. So they have fully established lives in the United States at this point, and they are going to be in danger of deportation. And that's when they literally just strip you from your home and send you back to, quote unquote, where you came from, instead of, we're all on the planet Earth here. Anyway. So DED, anyone of you?
So DED is deferred enforced departure, and that one is a presidential decision. And unlike TPS, where they have to tell you if it's going to expire 60 days before the date, which is still really terrible, DED, technically, they don't have to announce it. There's no statute because it's not covered by Congress. Liberia is the only country currently covered by DED. It was supposed to expire March 31 of this year, and the administration made the announcement March 28 of this year that they are going to terminate it in 12 months. So as of March 31, 2019. And that's for DED holders who have been here since 1991. And I was born in 1989, so I can't even imagine what that looks like. And Liberia has had 3 civil wars since 1989, so it's not in a place to receive people.
Mm-hmm. All right, so over the course of the last 6 months, those who have been watching have seen or participated in protests, marches, rallies, sit-ins that have taken place all throughout the country in support of the passing of the Clean Dream Act, which Congress failed to do, of course. What has life been like since this failure on the system's behalf, and are there any alternative solutions or approaches that we should be fighting for and paying attention to?
Yeah, sure, I can take this question. So I would like to mention that I'm 22 years old. My story in the U.S. begins when I'm 12, 10 years ago, when my mom and my dad decided to brought me here with my 2 younger siblings. And since then, we have been living in the state of Connecticut. What happens is that for a person, for an undocumented young woman like me, not being able to qualify or not being able to think that the Dream Act will come as a reality for my life really hit me hard, because I couldn't qualify for DACA. I came here when I was 12, as I mentioned it before, but one of the requirements were to come here before June 15, 2007, and I came here in 2008. So that disqualified me from getting DACA. So if the Dream Act was able to pass, that would have mean for me and for my family the first time for us to live without fear, without the fear of deportation. And also that would have meant for me a job, a stable job, that would have mean for me to go and apply for a green card, for a permanent residence, and later on being able to go back to my home country and visit my grandparents that I have not seen them for the past 10 years. So even though, at the national climate, it's a hot mess, we still need a permanent solution.
I completely agree.
But for alternative solutions, I think we have mentioned that you have the power in your community, in your locality, at your state. You can change many things if you speak your truth, if you step up. And believe me, I'm undocumented, and I have seen that change in my local region. I'm from a small town in Connecticut called Danbury.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like essentially what Congress denied the people you see in front of you, the people who they know, and there's so many people that are undocumented, and essentially what undocumented means is they don't give you a slip of paper validating your existence. And that to me is ludicrous, because we are all living, breathing beings. It's just a fact. There's no argument about it. These are people, these are kind people, these are dope people, smart people, and they are so active in their communities, and it's so commendable. So I thank you guys for your bravery and your work, for real. All right, so.
If I could add on, I'm so sorry
yes,
to
please.
interrupt. I didn't mean to.
No,
So life's like after the Congress has failed us promising the Clean Dream Act. We had a lot of meetings with the youth who just about to be graduating, who are about to go get a career, about to get a job. They were in lots of fear and scare, And so our organization, Nakasek and Korean Resource Center, has decided that we're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to stand for any other less than citizenship for all. So we are launching this campaign called Citizenship for All, Journey to Justice, where we'll be doing bike tour from Seattle down to San Diego, bringing undocumented youths or whoever would like to join us to advocate and do civic engagement to show that our people, our young voices needs to be heard, empowering them by going through border to border and basically giving experience that we never had. So that is us. So that's what we've been up to as an organization.
Amazing. Beautiful. All right. So I'm a firm believer that education, and education specifically on the awareness of the intersectionality of human rights issues, are key components in battling a society and bettering the society and creating a more conscious and safe environment for all citizens of the world. Do you share this belief, and why is quality, accessible education such an important part of the strive for freedom?
Yeah, I can take this question. So apart from my organizing with Fuego, I'm a community organizer with United We Dream. And what I really love about United We Dream is that we always say that the people most directly affected are at the forefront, meaning, and on our spaces, we don't have to be only undocumented. We're undocumented, we're queer, we're Asian, we're Black, we're all of our identities, and we don't have to choose and pick. And that's the importance of intersectionality, is that if we think about it, historically, people of color have been erased, and all the organizing that is done and the progress has been made has been led by white people. So that is why when we address issues like immigration, we have to realize it's not an immigration issue. It's a Black people issue. It's an Asian issue. It's a Latinx issue. It's a women's issue, right? And in terms of education, also when we talk about it, we have to realize we have the school to prison pipeline, but we have the school to prison to detention camp pipeline. And all of these little factors that sometimes we just don't think about it because, the media doesn't want to talk about the conditions in detention centers that are inhumane, and humans should not be in cages.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, very much.
Disturbing.
That's why I really stress the importance of intersectionality in every action and everything that I do. A lot of my work is influenced by people like Bell Hooks, Audre Lorde, Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Yeah, Black feminism is my favorite thing ever. And that's why I really love being on this panel. If you notice, I'm the only male here. And that's how it should be. Women of color should be at the forefront.
That's right. I love the reaction. Preach. All right. So you have all been involved in incredible advocacy work, but Angelica, I'd like to highlight what you've done. In April, a piece of legislation you've been advocating for in Connecticut that equalizes close to $150 million in institutional financial aid for undocumented students was passed and signed by their governor. So could you just describe to us the journey of groundwork activism and really being there and present and the way that affects?
Yeah, definitely. I want to mention that this is historical for Connecticut. Undocumented youth leading a campaign and winning after 5 years. That's huge.
Yes.
I want to emphasize that myself with my whole team, we are young people from the ages of 13 to 25, 26 that can vote, but change a lot and pass a lot this past month. So this is a call for all of you who are privileged to vote. Right. To please go and vote. It changed people's lives.
That is so important what you just said. Because everyone that, you see, they can't. When you're undocumented, again, it's that slip of paper that you can't attain. And that takes away your right to freedom of speech, essentially, that we have in this country, which is to be able to vote who it is that you are passionate about. So along with them, we encourage you to look at your leaders, research, see what they truly are about, because a lot of these politicians like to talk a lot and do nothing. So just make sure that whatever they're saying is followed up by action, and really be an informed voter and go out and do your part. That's to all the people watching too, because there's more people watching. So like all issues being explored this weekend at the Teen Vogue Summit, immigration is not an issue of its own. Like Moises touched upon, intersectionality is a huge part of this. So, when you're an individual who also has an experience of, gender, racial, spiritual, or sexual identities that don't fall into the proper category, quote unquote, sometimes all categories fall under what you identify as. So can any of you speak to this experience and how it affects your approach to your activism?
For sure. For me, when I started organizing, it was very beautiful. I love bringing people together, and I love being part of the movement. And it wasn't because of the movement. If I wasn't in there, I would have never come out of the closet. I would have never like gotten strong enough for me to be able to tell my mom that I was like, Mommy, I'm queer, and that to me, in the movement, it's very important because I cannot divide myself every single day. I am a queer woman of color that reproductive issues as equal as important as immigration issues as important as my education, every single one of them. And under this administration, every single part of those issues and every single part of my identity has been under attack, right? And so immigration is part of it, yes, and so as reproductive issues, and so as being queer, and so as being gender non-conforming, and all of these things. And so that's why it's so crucial that immigration is not just about undocumented people. This is bigger, and the way that we're going to be able to win a DREAM Act, or DREAM Act, or now a legislative solution for our people, is going to be able to see and to understand their intersectionality, and the youth and us. The youth is I believe is key in creating those spaces, right?
Yeah, for sure. And on DocuBlack, like one of the reasons that we started, right, in 2016 was right after Freddie Gray, what was going on in Baltimore, and people remember that. And just the idea that being black in this country means that you're racially profiled no matter where it is that you are. And it means that you may die at the hands of the state and get no justice. And that's something that happens, right? And that happens in immigration, right? Like just 2 days ago, we were at a rally in Baltimore for Prince Kabutu, who is DACA eligible. If DACA was still in place, he would be able to qualify, but because it hasn't, he's not been able to. And he was in detention, and they brought him to JFK without his wife knowing. You can be married and not get status. Like, it's just crazy, right? And then ICE officers beat him on the at JFK, beat him up with sticks when he was saying, like, you know, I will be killed if I go back home. He's from the Central African Republic. And that was power, though, because the pilot and the flight attendant heard him and said, we're not getting that man on this plane.
Shout out to people doing good, even if it's not what you're told to do, by the way.
So really cool stuff. And like, I think, you know, you mentioned like, what can people do? Like another thing that, you know, we're focusing on is safe spaces. So safe spaces in schools, in hospitals, churches, everywhere. And you understanding, knowing your rights, and also the friends of your immigrant friends, to know that if ICE comes to your door, they'll come like as police. They don't have a right to be in there. They don't have a right to be in your institution. And understanding your rights so that they cannot steal us away like they do.
Amen. Thank you guys so much. You are such an incredible group of individuals, and it was such an honor to pick your brains for the world. Can we leave you with a chant? Never mind. Moises also wanted to. Yes, they want to do a chant. If you guys would all join us, get some of the vibes going.
This chant is. It means a lot to me because the first time I heard it and said it, it was the first time that I felt that it was okay to be me. And this chant also made Senator Mitch McConnell shake.
Yes, to shaking Congress people.
So you repeat after me.
I am somebody. And I deserve
full equality.
Right here.
Right now. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, I felt that. I hope God felt that. All right. So last question, just the last thing before we go. What can everybody in the audience and watching at home do to support you guys in your cause?
Speak up. Literally, you have power. It really feels scary just thinking, what am I going to do? But think of, for example, the race in Alabama. Doug Jones won because black women showed the fuck up. And that's what we need you to do. We need each and every one of you who holds power, unfortunately, in this system to step up and use your voice. I think a lot about my friend Tyler Lum. He has no connection to our topic whatsoever, but this boy has been arrested twice. He has showed up and been at all of our actions and supporting us. So literally being there, and really, if you can, put your body on the line, because these are dangerous times, and I know and I have faith in each and every one of you that has the power to change the world.
You're here, so that's a step.
So if I could top that, speak out loud, there is many AAPI community members who are undocumented, as not a lot of people think they are. Out of 11 million undocumented folks, 1.4 are AAPI members, and out of 7 Koreans are undocumented and unafraid, I hope. And I want you to know that we have power, we have support, you have our support. So if you are afraid, if you're scared, just please come out and speak to us. We will be happy to be here for every single one of you.
Can I mention something? Yeah. So I think the last thing that I would like to mention is... Okay.
You want to just go down the line, so it's the last thing?
Sounds great.
All right.
All right. Sorry.
We're going to go down the line.
One thing that I do want to think real fast, get involved. You can make change in your schools, in your classrooms. That change happens individually. It starts with yourself, right? It starts with yourself. And then with your friends in your classrooms, just getting involved is a crucial thing. And realize you're part of a voting. That you have a vote, and it counts. As an undocumented person, we cannot vote, and it's important right now that in our national and our federal level, people that are making decisions for us do not represent us. But you have the power to change that. So get involved.
I say pass the mic. Undocumented people can lead. We are policymakers. We're policy wonks. We are able to lead things and movements. Pass the mic. If you're in a place of privilege, if you're in a place that you can usher us into, do that. And do that with honor and dignity for who we are.
So I think we're in an urgent moment where youth of color, you especially, for you to take up a space and speak your truth. So make sure that you're taking up as much space as you can, and speaking for your mother, for your father who doesn't have a voice on the room, or for the worker that is bringing the food to your table. Make sure that you do
your
that.
Ancestors. Thank you guys so much. I love you. This is so fun. I hope you guys learned some stuff. Thank you so much for coming.